Hey, thanks for listening to the Wannabes episode 50. It's a big milestone. It's been 50 episodes, and yeah, look, we're crazy successful. All of our dreams have come true. And of course, I'm lying, but regardless, it's been a fun ride. We've really enjoyed this. And at 50 episodes, we just kind of caught up. I mean, it's a fairly typical one, but we caught up and spent the time kind of theorizing of what we can do better, what we can do to improve, to market ourselves, to expand, all that good stuff. And so it's just an exciting time. I mean, we're probably sick to death of talking about quarantine, but we're still there, and so sometimes we just got to get together and stay positive and push forward. So pretty optimistic episode, a lot to reflect on, look forward to, etc., etc. So thanks for listening, and otherwise, just hang in there, guys. We're doing good. Just hang in. This is the Wannabes episode 50. My name is JD.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Wassabi.
Dude, we made 50 episodes. Look at that.
I know. Well, we've had over 50, but 50 of like our talks, our weekly talks.
50 of the OGs. We've talked to each other for over 2 days worth.
That is
of conversations. Crazy. Yeah, that's pretty wild. And we took a few weeks off. We were kind of trying to plan this, something we'll announce in a little bit. With that being said, we have a lot of stuff to catch up on because it's been a while. So yeah. This will be a good opportunity to catch up on those things before this live stream. We'll start off. I know you have some pretty not so great news. I guess we could lead with that since it's probably the biggest change.
The elephant in the rumor.
Yeah.
So pretty much the unfortunate news is I got furloughed on Thursday, really out of nowhere. It was kind of like, if you're familiar with Game of Thrones, it was very Red Wedding-esque. Like the company sort of cut maybe roughly 40%, either in layoffs or in furlough, and no one saw it coming. So because of that, and my lease, expires at the end of the month, I'm deciding to really go back home for the time being, and hopefully I can be back in New York City in the fall. So in probably like 2 to 3 months. And for those who aren't familiar with what furlough is, it's pretty much like an unpaid forced vacation. So the company cannot support the amount of staff it has. So it kept some, it fired some, and then it furloughed some. So when I say I got furloughed, it means that I won't be paid a salary anymore, but I'll keep my health insurance. And when the company, reopens 100% in hopefully 2 to 3 months, my job is protected and I can join the company again, no problem. So it means that they want to keep me, but they just can't afford to pay me anymore.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
That really sucks. But it seems like you're taking it in stride, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I don't know. I feel like it really sucks. I think I go back and forth. Like, thinking of leaving the homies in New York. And, I don't know how long the lockdown will be, but, I was really looking forward to, maybe mid-end summer to really, catch up with all you guys. But thinking of, that I'm leaving the city makes it really sad. Mm-hmm. Oddly enough, it solves my issue of trying to find roommates, which I've been posting mad pages about, on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. So it solves that issue of possibly moving in June to another place in New York or finding roommates, because I'll just be moving home. But I think I'm just trying to keep myself busy. It definitely does suck. I'm not gonna lie, but I think the one positive for it is that I've always had this question of oh, what would it be like to be streaming, and what would it be like to go into content producing and stuff like that. And this kind of lets me do that. So I guess I'm just going really hard on streaming and YouTube for the Wannabes content. So we're going to be producing like a lot of new content. It's going to vary a lot. So let us know whether you like it or not. Like that,
Yeah.
like really, it's going to be all over the place, but I have a lot of ideas. I've been messaging JD like every other day being like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? But yeah, so I'll collect on unemployment and do that for the time being and really see if, you know, I really enjoy streaming or video producing and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a conversation with people in our shoes that like kind of that play games or produce content on the side, and the idea of doing it full time is really scary. But I guess the silver lining is now you're thrown into the deep end, and you're given this challenge of, okay, now like you get what you wanted, or at least what you dreamt about or thought about. Now it's like, all right, now what does this actually mean? And I know that I've imagined myself in your shoes plenty of times. I mean, I think everyone has, with this pandemic, like what happens if we lose our jobs, and 30 million Americans are in those shoes now. But honestly, I couldn't have picked someone more capable of tackling this. I mean, you're a crazy person. So when it comes to this sort of stuff, it's going to be, yeah, I mean, it's not like you're going to pick up on what like the magic bullet is right away. Like that's impossible. But to kind of explore all the different avenues that are out there and just try shit out, as well as like grind a new skill, which is like video editing and streaming. I'm really excited to see where this goes and how you kind of leverage your time into this new path. I think it'll be really cool. I think it'll work out.
Yeah, thanks for the encouragement. I'm really excited. I'm really excited with like content producing and also streaming. I think I just like need to make a stream schedule. I'm probably gonna revamp our Discord so that like I don't spam everyone being like, hey, I'm streaming now. I'll probably put like, I think, you know, shout outs to Mose, you know, for also putting up his stream. I think I'll create a self-promotion channel where anyone in our community Discord can like post whatever cool stuff they're doing at the moment, whether it's like a video or a stream link. And then like lots of support from everyone, from Andre and Jada. Just want to say, like, you know, thanks so much for like tuning into the stream a few times. Like it's really means a lot to be able to just like chat with you guys and know some people are watching. So, you know, definitely felt really honored by that, but hopefully we can hopefully grow.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the potential's there, and I mean, we've gotten past, I think, the most important stage, which is just finding out if we want to do this. And we've done it for a while now and have enjoyed it. And we have our kind of like benchmark podcast, very meta, what we're doing right now. Also, something really cool we've been doing is talking to a lot of content creators.
That is true.
That's something we're continuing. We have another guest. We'll announce it later. Actually, we'll just announce it when you have it. It's more fun when it's a surprise. But we're not done interviewing streamers, YouTubers, filmmakers. Some of my favorite people to talk to, and I think by the conversations you've had, you enjoyed as well. Is like, all right, what makes them tick? What did they learn? And how do we kind of selfishly take those lessons for ourselves? It's such like a weird kind of like test, a cultured test tube, right? Where we're just like figuring it out. We're putting all these tools in, all this information, and we're just like, all right, how do we turn this into our own benefit? And it's a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm excited to keep learning about it.
It feels very like early Melee Days-esque, where it's just like, you know, like, how do you beat shield grab, or like, you know, that sort of stuff. I feel like we're just asking that with like content creators. Like, I have to shout that, like, you know, my most recent interview with, you know, Turn Down for Walt, by far one of my favorite episodes that I've done personally. I thought it came out really well, but, you know, Walt's such a homie. Like he we're talking and he's giving advice, and I joined his Discord. His Discord's super chill too, and like he has so much knowledge, and he still thinks of himself as a small YouTuber, which is crazy to think about. But it's like it feels very early Melee Days-esque, where it's like, how do you beat shield grab, or how do you beat Nair in place? Which the answer is it's still very hard to beat Nair in place. But it's like
how do you make thumbnails?
Yeah, it's like how do you make Thank you. I was my mind was fading away. It's like
there's so many options.
How do you make thumbnails? How do you title stuff? Like, we're gonna be titling stuff very differently and testing it out. And I think the Wannabes podcast YouTube channel will be a really interesting platform.
Experiment?
Yeah, an experiment. Again, my mind is I don't know, my mind is blanking right now, but experiment was the word.
I'm here for you, buddy. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know. After a year, you can finally read my thoughts.
Finally. I don't even have to look at you. Yeah, dude. I think it's really exciting because we've allowed ourselves to experiment up to this point and just kind of follow our instincts a bit. And I feel like sometimes with long projects like this, it gets kind of pigeonholed early. Maybe pigeonholed's a little too extreme of a term. It's sort of like, okay, this is what we do. But we've come up with strange ideas that ultimately we only followed through on some of them. But we've always been very open to trying shit out. And I think now that one, the pandemic keeps us home all the time, so we get to try new things out. And two, now you have been furloughed and are ready to kind of step into the next gear. It's really cool to just be like, dude, yeah, do whatever the hell you want. Like, let's work on this together. Let's figure out what works for us, what we want to do, and that underlying kind of current of making sure we're doing stuff that we enjoy and just feels like we're working towards something it still feels like a good philosophy to stick to. And what's cool is that we're still documenting this whole thing in real time, which still feels so early on. You know what I mean? It's always felt like we're very early on into any new process that we're doing, which you're right. It's like early Melee. It feels like that time that I was practicing short hopping right now.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good analogy.
That's how early it feels. Like our beginning podcast felt like what did that feel like? Maybe that was more like short hopping. This is like shuffling,
wave shining,
right?
Yeah, or shuffling.
Yeah. So I got some things down, but now I'm trying to put all the pieces together, and it feels clunky, and I have to think about it really hard. But as we go, I think that, and it's cool that you get to take the lead, that I get to kind of watch and learn from you without going through some of those things myself, and then once you kind of carve your way through the brush, I get to come in and be like, oh wow, the way's cleared. Now now I get to benefit from all your experimenting. So that's pretty cool, selfishly. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like you want to be very self-aware of what you put out and how you want to put it out, and but you don't. But the thing about instinct matters so much too. There's just certain tendencies that we'll have, and it's sort of like going to how you should be playing versus what works best for you, and it's going to be really interesting to. That's sort of the balance that I find myself finding with right now, right? Is how best can I show my authentic self, but isn't thinking about what my authentic self is partially hindering its authenticity inherently.
Hindering the authenticity.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that an interesting concept?
The being self-aware, observing yourself is not your true self.
Yes. So it's something sort of this idea of in the fact that you're observing something changes
like
changes
quantum
it.
physics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and how you're observing it changes, right? And so, it's sort of like you want to be your most authentic self, but observing that and being self-aware of yourself
I
hinders
totally
it.
hear you.
Yeah, yeah.
I totally hear you.
Isn't it a weird loop?
Well, yeah, and I've thought about this before. I've read a little bit about this. What comes to mind is my dad got me like a comedy book, like how to write comedy a while ago when I was like 17, and one thing stuck with me, which is to separate the creative side of yourself and the critical side of yourself, and to do it physically, to actually put yourself in different physical positions in your room or different rooms, to say, okay, this is where I get to uninhibited write or produce or make or talk or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the area where I critique what that was, the skill of it, the outcome, the actual, nuts and bolts of what was made, and to make sure that that is completely different thought processes. Like, I think you're absolutely right. To do things and to be self-critical at the same time is like, you can't be uninhibited if you are thinking about it. It's like flow state, right? When you're in a flow state, you're not thinking about what you're doing. So, in terms of Melee, it's like you shouldn't need to think about shuffling. You just do it, because there were times where you were critical, which allowed you to unlock that technical skill to express yourself fully. You know what I mean? That's at least how I think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's going to be the most interesting thing. And then I think the other thing is like just becoming a storyteller, like I think we've done a lot of it on this podcast, right? Especially with our 1v1 series, but also with ourselves on a weekly basis. Like, we've told stories of our weeks, and we've told other people's stories, or given them the platform to tell their stories is more accurate, I think. But how do you tell a story through a video, and how do you stream in a way that lets you tell a story inherently? Like, obviously you'll need editing and stuff like that anyway, but that's sort of what the next step is, I think, going into what we're planning for this channel and everything, or what I'll be planning to do, and that you'll be approving or disapproving of.
Well, I doubt I'm going to be disapproving. I will try to provide some sort of different perspective. That's always been our biggest strength, is that we kind of find things that the other person doesn't notice very frequently, just because we're so very different. But yeah, I think with streaming, it's just it's fascinating, the whole culture of streaming, because everyone who's touched a video game has pictured themselves as a professional full-time streamer. It's probably eclipsed every other profession as in terms of what kids want to do when they grow up, is be a YouTuber or a streamer. And it's like the new gold rush, I should say, where the people on top have made so much money. It is very lucrative for the top of the of the food chain. And so right now you see so many people, especially in this culture, in the Smash Bros community, trying it out and figuring things out as they go, and trying to build an audience. And as everyone knows, that there's 95% of streamers have 0 views. So it's like, how do you navigate all that? How do you actually build something pretty much in a desert with small pockets of an oasis? It's
that's a great analogy.
It's difficult, man. It's like, it's really like you need to either have some sort of different angle, or I think the big thing is having an audience that you can cultivate, that you could kind of crossbreed between. So the idea that you're doing Twitch and YouTube together is already, I think, ahead of so many other people who think that just grinding away on Twitch is the best way to go. Just getting them their 8 hours a day in, or whatever number they want to get up to. But then again, like, what do we know? We're such newbies at it.
Yeah, we're gonna be experimenting. I still have to break through the barrier of putting out another video. I think that's like the next immediate step. And I think like in the end, like no matter where we put it, and it's probably just gonna be put on the Wannabes channel, like is like you just have to put it out and then learn from there, right? Like you can't theory craft. You can't only just theory craft and be good, you know? Like, same goes for, like, Melee and anything else, right? Like, you can watch a lot of theories about, like, oh, this is how you should structure it, or, you know, Twitch isn't really the market to go for right now, it's YouTube or whatever, but you just kind of have to do it at some point, you know? And then just go from there and understand that, like, what you put out might not be the best, but that every time you put out, you're getting... it has the potential to be the viral one that sets it off, you know?
Yeah,
and
it's all about
it's really interesting. Yeah, and I've been listening to Devin Nash. I don't know if are you familiar with him?
No.
Oh, you'd love his content, by the way, I think.
Okay.
He's a big Gary Vee fan. I mean, as is a lot of people, but...
Dope.
Yeah, I know. But I've been listening to all of his content. It's amazing. But, like, he phrased it really well, and this sort of stands out to me, is you could be the funniest person in the world on Twitch and not be discovered. But the YouTube algorithm will make that impossible for you. Like, you will be found. If you're the funniest person in the world and you put stuff on YouTube, people will find you. But, like, you could just be never discovered on Twitch, which is really interesting.
Yeah. I think that definitely that adds up to everything else we've been talking about, right? It's like Twitch is one piece of the puzzle, and it needs to be supplemented and kind of pollinated by our YouTube, by our Twitch, and thankfully we've been building up an archive of other content that is a good place to kind of to build off of. Like, we've set our foundation a bit, you know. It's still growing, we're still kind of adding to our repertoire, but the fact that someone can look us up just by, you know, if they wanted to find a Ginger interview or a Turn Down for Walt interview, that they could find us that way, that's huge, you know, and that's always going to exist. That's going to be there on Google forever. So I think we're already in a bit of a better place than someone day one just starting up their Twitch stream. That being said, I still think there's a lot of things we might need to, we do need to learn. I mean, I don't want to be redundant. It's just we're at that stage of learning where we don't even know what we need to learn. You know?
Exactly.
So that's difficult.
Yeah.
But we have people we're interviewing that are gonna hook us up. They're gonna teach us.
Pretty much, yeah. Wow, this became really meta really quickly.
Oh, we always go meta though.
That's true.
Often enough. Well, it's episode 50. I think this is a good place to be when we could actually look back and think about kind of what we've learned through the process and what we want to do going forward. You know, I don't want to overburden kind of our, as you said, like our theory craft side of our brain, because you've already been kind of thinking about all this new stuff, the YouTube, etc. So I don't want to kind of burden this conversation too much. But in terms of just the podcast, how do you feel about where we are right now?
Ooh, great question. So regarding the podcast, I think I really love where we are right now. I think we've really built a solid foundation of like what kind of content we like to produce, how we produce it. Like, I think our scheduling and production is really good. The fact that we just started up YouTube again and posting on there is really good too. Obviously, we're still learning the ropes of it as a very new platform for us, but I don't know. I feel like we have a groove that's pretty easy to replicate on a consistent basis. And that was the goal for our first year, right? Was we dropped the YouTube halfway and was like, can we just consistently produce content on like a weekly basis or like twice weekly basis? And we did that. Like even before that, like before the whole Corona thing happened, like we were doing March Madness and doing 3 episodes a week. I think that's really impressive. So I think now, looking into year 2 of this podcast, it's more so like, how can we make our production better for other people? How can we make our audio quality better? How can we make YouTube more accessible? How can we be generally more accessible to our viewers? And 2 is, how can we reach a newer audience? And I think we weren't too concerned with that before. Like we were just like, let's put it out and see if people like it, right? And that's still always the goal, right? That's still always the goal. Like you and I both said this, is that we, it could just be us 2 doing this, and I think we'll probably just do this for like years, whether we record it or not, like having a weekly call. But it seems like, I'd love for like the stuff that we're talking about and stuff to reach a newer audience, and like how do we go about doing that, I think is the next big step.
Yeah, I'm totally on board. I'm also very happy with where we're at. I'm going to try to find some angles of like criticism, just because I don't think about it a lot. So
I can critique us too.
Do it.
Okay. Well, I think we need to go back to being like, obviously quarantine, like the world ended and stuff. Yeah. So we have to be a little bit nice to ourselves. But I think if we need like more like structure, and like it needs to be more apparent of our structure, right? Like how will people know when we post, like that isn't apparent. Like I just made a pinned tweet of all of our links on Twitter. Like how did we not think of that,
Right.
Like that was Friday. I'm like, oh shit, I should probably post like a link, like a pinned tweet, right? And like I'll edit that and say like expect episodes out here, and here, right?
I have an idea. Can I just interject on this idea?
Yeah, go forward.
So I think we should put in our banner episodes every Wednesday and Friday.
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Done.
Cool.
I think we need, the one big thing is a revamp of the channel trailer. I think the one I made like in 20 minutes is solid, but I think we need one where it is like, how are people supposed to get a taste of what they like, right? No one really commits to listening, to an hour plus podcast out of the blue very rarely, right? Like it's normally a player that you like or whatever, right? And I think we have found a very unique spot to be in like the Melee community, in the podcast community, in the content production community. But like, how can we give people a taste of what we are as a podcast and as people, right? Without them having to commit to the full hour.
Right.
I think that's really important too, especially for our weekly stuff. Like, I think it's easier to do it for like the 1v1s, but like more so our weekly stuff. I think also revamping the Discord. So we put it out there. I'm really happy we put it out there because we kind of know what it's like right now, right? Like what sort of the universe is like on Discord. But I think it's time to revamp that. Like it's a little bit outdated, and I think we realize we have too many channels, and we have too many channels, and not enough. Like, I think that's a big one. I think another big thing is our just social engagement on social media. Like, not that it's bad, and not that we have to like reply to everything or anything like that. But I was talking with someone, and I was talking with Walt, and he was talking about someone who was giving us advice, and I think a big thing is that we could do like, we need to format our content better for the type of platform that we're on. So podcasts, long form content, that's fine. We've got that in the bag. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple. That's all we need, right? 2 is YouTube, right? So we'll be doing that. We need interesting thumbnails. We need better titles. That's fine. So next is Twitter, right? That's really the other platform. And with Twitter, the big problem is that like there's two big problems, right? Is how do you get people to... The big thing for Twitter are retweets, right? Because retweeting means that someone has to think your content is good enough that they want it to be on their own Twitter profile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but our like long quotes, like long descriptions of like, hey, this week we talked about whatever, and whatever, and here are all the links below, right? Like, I think there are just better ways to structure tweets, and we haven't been respecting the language of Twitter, if that makes sense. And
that makes total. That's right off Gary Vee right there.
Yeah. And so the big thing for me is not doing the paragraphs anymore. Adding our YouTube as the first link with links below. Like, Hacks made a great point of like, why do I have to click on this and then find it on a different tweet? Like, that doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. But of course, we have a bunch of other platforms. So, I think that's why we're going to put YouTube on, and we'll keep Spotify and Apple in the separate tweet. I think the other last thing is that we need to get snippets of our past episodes, especially ones with like the ones that we thought ourselves were really good, like of us two talking, and of our 1v1s, and post it on Twitter. So like, say for example, like, Turn Down for Walt, right? Like, we know we're posting it on Wednesday, right? We should have a snippet, like a quote, like 3 quotes that we can post, Monday and Tuesday, as teasers of, do I want to watch this podcast, this interview of Walt, Turn Down for Walt? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Wow. All right. I thought you were going to give a little criticism, but this this turned into a strategy meeting. No, that's all amazing. And I'm honestly, I didn't want to cut in because you just kept saying good shit. So I'm on board with pretty much all of that. I guess we have it recorded, so we could always listen back.
Yeah, no, we don't even need to take notes.
No, for sure. So that's wow. All right. I don't even have too many comments on that.
No comments. You said you wanted me to critique it.
No, well, I mean, I have my own opinions on it. So let's refresh. let's just take a step back. That's you're gonna do pretty well in this content creation business. Okay.
You know me, so, I'm always 0 to 100, black and white when I commit to something.
Sure. I know, that's why you're a crazy person. No, it works. It's just so funny. All right. So, how I feel about our podcast. That wasn't the thing. Is that was like, it wasn't even a critique. It's just like, what's next? Which was the cool part.
Yeah, I mean, quick thing before you start is like, I wouldn't do our year differently.
No,
like I think we prioritize the right stuff, and there's always stuff to be better at, right? Like, even in the game, it's always a pursuit of improvement rather than an end goal.
Yeah, and ultimately we made it as, I mean, we talk about this all the time, so but we made it as something that we want to continue enjoying it. I can't stress that enough, that if we took these leaps too early, which I wanted to do, I wanted to make a Patreon at like week 2.
Oh my god, I remember that. I remember getting off that call and being like, JD should just listen to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that ended up being a bad idea, but the point is, like, we've always been circling around the right kind of central philosophies. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, yeah, I agree. I'm really happy with where we're at. I think in a more general sense of criticism for myself, I think that a lot of times I almost kind of fall back into that original attitude of why I wanted to make the podcast in the first place, which was to feel like I'm working towards something. Mm-hmm. And in that sense, I guess, take it for granted that we've built this up to where we're at. And I almost forget about what it was like before and what I wanted to make in the first place, which I think is just like kind of human nature. It's like once you get something, you still want more, and it's not like having the thing you expect to want is ever enough. That's not, like, I think a major flaw, but if I were to really self-criticize, it would be to I want to hop on board this new momentum we're getting, and kind of push towards, okay, what else can we build on top of what we already have, and how can I do this with you? I think that's an important next step, because I think the technicalities of everything are really good, but in terms of a mindset, I'm still really trying to figure out this whole quarantine business and how to keep my mental health up and how to still work hard at my day job, which the longer this goes on, the more I feel like I should be grateful for it, but also it feels like I'm more and more trapped in it. That's its own. That's like a spiritual thing almost. But
yeah, I mean, but that's I mean, quick interjection is
Sure.
that's the quarantine definitely made things weird, and but I totally get that. Like, I just want to let you know that you're definitely like heard. Like, biggest part of like being more grateful that you have a job right now almost does trap you more in a way. But I just wanted to say that as a friend.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I mean, it's nice to be able to like afford an apartment. Like I'm grateful for that. But also it's like for 40 hours out of the week, I'm stressed, and I'm trying my hardest to stay focused on something I don't enjoy doing. So all that shit. But with that being said, in terms of like creating stuff and additional content, it all comes back to the central idea of we are able to do whatever the hell we want, and that's almost a problem if we get too caught up in the possibilities of everything. You know what I mean? Like, I look at what we've started and can sprout out to, and then it's kind of a paralysis of decision making. Like, what next? What can I actually do? Like, the idea of, we've tossed this idea around, and I think it might be a good time to start this with the YouTube channels popping up, is like clips of different episodes.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways to go about that. Like, it almost feels like, all right, what's the best way? But we don't know what the best way is until we try shit out and figure out what works, right? It's like, I think this might be the best time to just leap into something and then make it and put it out, and then be like, all right, we made it. Now let's make another thing. Let's keep leaping and learning from our progression, That might just be the best way forward. I'm kind of just thinking out loud here, but that's what the podcast is, which is also cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think we're sort of like in this weird boat of like, are we going to do this? Like, like we're just about to jump for it. And yeah, I think we just have to sink our teeth into something and then just run with it,
Right.
Like, I don't think there is another way to go about it. And we'll kind of just have to learn on the way. Just like, you remember like our first 4 episodes? Like, we did it, we tried Discord at one point, the audio was really bad, and then like eventually we figured out Audacity. But remember, we lost our audio on episode 4 when I beat Lint. And like, we tried to redo the episode, and it just like didn't have the same energy, which is why we eventually moved to Skype and did why we always insist on having a backup recording.
Yep.
But like, I feel like that just won't happen until we just do it and stumble along the path,
And yeah, and I totally agree. I mean, that's why we're able to have these conversations, and I'm not like, we don't even think about how to set up the call. It takes, by the time we're ready to go and by the time we start recording, it's about 15 seconds now.
Oh yeah.
And not to say that we're doing anything too complicated, but when we first started, we were like, oh shit, all right, I think that's good. Oh god, all right. All right, so we're gonna count down now. Like, what should, so there's
yeah, is
all
it 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1?
3, 2, 1, go. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Yeah. So it's always these little things with everything. Literally every process there's these little things that kind of you have to hurdle over, and it starts off being very active minded, and then it just kind of settles into the background. And now we get to focus on other things like our speech or our storytelling, or in editing, how things sound. The quality, our ceiling and our floor are going up simultaneously, but they only go up in increments of how often we work at it. So with that being said, I think now we have Melee and this as two examples of things we started at being terrible and eventually got comfortable with. And with Melee, I would say we're better Melee players than we are podcasters. Still, I mean, we have
that
5.
That is still true, yeah.
Yeah, that's always going to be true, I think, just because, we have such a lead on that. But in terms of comfortability and kind of at least knowing where we're at, there's nothing to say that video editing and YouTube and Twitch are not going to follow the same format. There's nothing to say that we can't succeed at that, which is exciting. Even if it is intimidating, even if there are so many ways forward and so many options we have to get started and to make a first thing. Well, it shouldn't even be a first thing. We've made some things. It's not like we're starting at scratch. It's just we're ready to sit here and push. Now that we've had these other experiences of learning, it's like we could always just draw from that well again and say, "Oh, we've done it before. It's possible."
All right. Yeah, I'm back. I was listening, but I was also typing some stuff based on what you were saying. No, we're going to have... You're calling this a strategy meeting? After this call, dude, we got to... There's a few things we have to talk about the upcoming projects.
Oh, all right. Well, we might have to... It is Mother's Day. Ashley's mom is coming... and her sister are coming today. That's why I had to clean and shit.
Oh, dang. Okay. Don't worry. It's... But no. All I was going to say is we need to just figure out, latch onto idea... say we're gonna run it, and then split the responsibilities. That's about it.
Yeah. For sure. Well, you get to take lead on that now. Now that you're full time, you are the content director. You're the artistic director, we should say, and I'm the artistic lackey. And I will follow your lead.
Dude, remember when we started out with this, and you're like, I want to be content creator, and I was like, yeah, I don't really want to be a content creator.
I want to be a Melee player.
I'll just play the game. I just want to be a Melee player.
Yeah.
Remember that? And then look at how, a year a year and a half has changed everything.
Now I want to be furloughed. Damn it. Not
Trust
really.
me, you don't.
Yeah, I don't.
Too soon.
I'll bankroll us.
Too soon. I'm joking. But yeah. No, but it's super exciting. Well, yeah, I mean, besides that, what are you... anything else that you're up to? I mean, one thing I wanted to talk to you about is, the board game stuff. We should do that ourselves.
Oh, super down. Super down.
Yeah, let's just do board game nights and record it.
Well, I've had... well, yeah, I mean, that's just fun, right?
Yeah.
And I think the best content comes from just enjoying yourselves anyway and recording it and putting it out, especially gaming content. The whole business we're trying to break into is doing something that we enjoy, and then just using that as an excuse to say we're working, recording it and be like, oh, we're actually building something. So yes, anything that's like that, I'm super down.
Yeah.
Getting a webcam finally. It. Yeah, just document. That's all.
Yeah. Thanks for giving me your webcam for the time being.
Yeah, no problem. I'm getting a better one.
I still haven't gotten mine.
The one you ordered?
Yeah, it hasn't arrived.
Wait, so we're gonna have 3 webcams?
I'll return yours or something.
But then I'll have 2.
But you'll have a better one. I have 2 mics now.
Whatever. I have 2 mics also.
Well, whatever. I have 4 mics. Screw you.
Well, I'm about to have 3 mics and a piano and a loop machine.
I have 2 monitors and a keyboard and mouse.
I also have 2 monitors and a keyboard and mouse.
God
you have 2. You have 2 keyboards?
No, do you have 2 keyboards?
No, I have 2 mouses.
Why?
I have an ergonomic one from my job, and then I have my gamer mouse.
God damn it. Well, I have 2 monitors, 1 keyboard, 1 mouse, and 2 MacBook Airs.
I have 2 suitcase packs with 4 bags inside of each. That's 8 bags.
Okay, this bit has run its course.
Well, it's not even a bit. It's just looking around our room and saying things we have. What is this?
I know.
So what was I talking about?
What were you talking about?
You asked me a question. Oh shit. Dude, we're falling apart.
Yeah, I know. Might be time.
No, you said you had 2. Well, the webcam. Okay, so we're gonna make shit.
Yeah, we're gonna make shit.
So how? But you asked me a question. What was the question?
I mean, just like, how does your like week and stuff look right now?
Okay, so work. I mean, really, I've really been trying to figure out ways to stay focused during the work week, because with the freedom of no boss looking over my back, it's so easy to slack off. Like, it's so easy. And what happens is I have like twice a day kind of check-ins. So most of the time it's once a day, but sometimes it's twice a day. And my day becomes just doing, honestly, not even the bare minimum, like less than the bare minimum, and pretending that I did stuff and making the stuff that I did like take up more space in my daily report. So it's just, and it's not good. Like, I get stuck in these things of just like watching YouTube videos for the morning, and then I take a break, and then I watch a little more, and then I work a bit to like catch up to where I should be, and then I get past my daily touch base, my daily meeting, and I breathe a huge sigh of relief, and then I'm out for the day. Like, it's just so bad. And the days that I actually work, I feel better. Like, it's so illogical. Like, I know when I have a good work day that I'm able to relax after, I'm able to enjoy my evenings, and be more present, and even be more productive after work. Like, I have more energy after work. So it's just been a lot. I think I need to like journal more, and this is helpful too, just like speaking about it, just getting it out. But really, it's been a challenge to stay focused and to kind of like keep myself moving in a positive direction, stay a good employee. And man, it's the last couple weeks have been tough. Like last week, Monday and Tuesday, I don't know if I did really anything that wasn't like tuning into a phone call and taking notes on it, which is like, you're forced into that, So self-motivation, I think, is my number one goal this week. Having good mornings, waking up, exercising, journaling, practicing piano, like getting my good mornings in just leads to everything else being good. And so that's like my hard focus going forward. Also, I have a 1v1 with some comedians today.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. Man, that's going to be fun, because those, I'll send you the clip of who they are. I think I might have, but it's like a long clip.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like touring stand-ups. And
oh, wow.
Well, it's like, it's different. One of them does the actual stand-up, and then he has 2 support people that play like sounds and do lights, and it's like a whole production. And I have a feeling that we're very lucky to have them this early on, because I don't see them staying this unknown for that much longer. They're really great. So keep your eyes out for that.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Oh shit! I dropped my phone. No crack. We're safe.
Keep it in. So that's my week.
Cool. My week is really just streaming and picking like 2 content pieces to run. I think that's really where I have to go with this, and we're gonna just try to run it, and then think more about the move back to North Carolina for right now, and go from there. Really.
Yeah, putting stuff out. That's all that matters. Yeah. Put some stuff out and keep ourselves sane. Try to if I had to give myself credit, let's do this. Let's give ourselves credit for one thing.
Yeah.
Last week. So I'll start. The one thing I have to give myself credit for is, in the past couple weeks, I've been drinking a lot more, and not a ton, like probably 2 beers a day, and then a bit more on weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did was, I decided that just for Sunday through Thursday, I was not going to have any drinks, and I did it. Just
nice.
didn't drink
Congrats.
for 5 days. Yeah, I mean, it's not anything like insane, but thinking about like what little steps we can take and how we can kind of exercise our willpower, that was one thing that really felt in reach, and I think I can kind of take that and move forward more to some more productive stuff. So I want to give myself credit for that. How about you?
I mean, a lot has happened this week, so I think I just want to give myself credit for kind of taking it with stride and allowing myself both to feel like frustrated and worried, but also like not having that sort of paralyze me at the moment. So I think that is probably the thing that I want to give myself credit for.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope I'm giving you enough credit too, because it really is great the way you're moving past this and kind of almost leveraging it and taking advantage of it, which I think a lot of people think they would be able to do what you're doing, but to actually kind of be in the spot now and literally talking about it in real time, on recording, it's like, I think that this is, hopefully we get this in front of people that are in your shoes to hear what you're going through and hopefully inspire them, because you definitely inspired me a bit.
Oh,
for sure.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you better start crying.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the situation. I have to accept it. But yeah, I mean, it's also exciting because it gets to answer those few questions that we've always had in our head. So I'm kind of just gonna roll with that as far as it takes me, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, I think we've run the course. We hit this episode hard. We went through a lot. I'm honestly out of juice. Do you have anything else we got to talk about?
I think that's it. It was a really tight episode, but a lot in there. Yeah,
for sure. Well, I feel better. I feel I'm happy we finally did this, because I think we were kind of beating around the episode 50 a little bit, but we needed to get back at just talking to each other. I miss this.
Yeah, me too. It's been a while. I'm glad we did it like this week, especially because of everything that's happened.
Yeah, man. Well, cool. All right. So for everyone else, thanks for listening to 55 minutes of this, and we'll have a good week. We'll talk, man. We got big plans.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks everyone for listening.